Summertime in England. If there's a paradise on this earth, this truly is it. Hi everyone, this is Thomas Kinkade. You know, I do love summertime. I remember reading a quote recently that said, "Our way to celebrate our love for God is to celebrate love for one another and love for life." And you know, if you love life, summertime is the time to show it. It's a time when the fields are ripening for the harvest, when the world is green and full of lush splendor. My new painting is called A Perfect Summer Day, and I think artists are always searching for perfection. Now, every painting I do starts as something I envision in my mind, as though I were stepping into an imaginary world where everything were perfect. And of course, when I was walking through England, it was as though I'd stepped into one of my paintings. I'm just so excited about this painting because, of course, it's so filled with all the things I love to discover when I wander through England. There's a habit the English have, a national pastime that they call rambling. And of course, last summer, my wife Nanette and I were in England, rambling through the countryside when we discovered this exact cottage. Now, I set up my easel right beside the cottage, and as I worked, these three beautiful, sleek horses came out. And it was so wonderful because they were almost like family pets. They were in the little meadow right beside the cottage, and I could picture the family coming out and feeding them an apple, or the horse being ridden in the evening off into the beautiful rolling hills. To me, the landscape of summer is the landscape of abundance, and as you look over the summer landscape, you're amazed at how things just seem to grow and flourish. Along the path, you see light that comes down from above and seems to flow through the limbs of the trees overhead and create little pools of illuminated sunlight. Fences line the landscape, yet there's a sense that you could cross over any fence and enjoy the fields and meadows as you explore. The colors of summer are so verdant and rich. You have an amazing sense that flowers are reaching their buds up to the heavens. There's a sense that the breeze blows over the petals and the blooms of summer and creates a poetry of motion as colors dance upon the landscape. Summer is a time for relaxation. Of course, the old deacon's bench that sets out in front of the cottage allows you to sit and look out over the rich landscape and ponder your abundant blessings. Light flows over tree trunks, creating that sense of a sculpture that has been carved by the hand of God. Truly, the bark of a tree is one of the richest textures of nature. The shadows of the lawn are cool and inviting, like a pool of water. And yet, looking in the distance, you see the warmth of the dappled light. How good it is to feel the summer sunlight on your skin. To me, a horse belongs in the landscape just as much as the foliage and the trees. Not only do they help crop the grass down and keep things tidy, atop a horse you can go just about anywhere you might like to explore. And to me, that is the ultimate freedom. This cottage is a beautiful example of the thatcher's art. Of course, the gathering of reeds is part of the tradition of English home building. The thatcher often creates the cross-stitching that you see in this cottage roof. What a beautiful way to decorate your cottage, and yet there's a functional aspect as well. The cross-stitching of the reeds allows the bales of thatching to remain in place atop the cottage, and yet it also has a decorative element as well, providing a counterpoint to the horizontal lines of the reeds that form the thatching. I love the intricate patterns of brick that you see in the country cottages of England. The brick mason's art is alive and well. The color of green within the trees is varied and oh so rich. In the distance you see softer, paler, light-washed greens, and yet up close the greens take on that lushness as though the warmth of sunlight has been gathered into the foliage, creating even more color. A perfect summer day suggests a billowy, wispy kind of sky that to me is reminiscent of the paintings of John Constable. Now, John Constable was an English landscape painter from the late 18th and early 19th century, and he was known for capturing what he called the layered sky, layer upon layer of wispy clouds that suggest the sense of movement and constantly changing light that you see in a summer sky. How marvelous it is to think of the farming heritage of England. I've walked through many of the fields and farms over the years, and I've always discovered that people who live around the large farms of England are some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. I like to think that the people who live in this little cottage are someone that you could knock on the door and sit down to tea with them on a moment's notice. F. Scott Fitzgerald was asked one time why it is that he became a writer, and he said, "Because I have a heightened sensitivity to the romance of life." And I think of that quote oftentimes because as an artist, we really are motivated from the same source of inspiration that writers are, a sensitivity to the romance of life. The perfection of the seasons themselves is really going to be the theme of the entire series. This is the first painting in a series that I'll be working on in coming years. Perfect summer day will be followed by a perfect autumn day, then a perfect winter day, and of course the grand finale, a perfect spring day as life emerges anew on the landscape. Each painting, hopefully a celebration of my love for life and my love for God's creation. As always, God bless you as you share the light.